We begin today the Gemara on Daf Tzadik Ches Amud Beis, 7 lines from the bottom of the Yamud, where it says Toshema. The Gemara here is bringing a raya from our Mishnah to a question that it asked regarding a person that sends a shliach to go and buy him a piece of property in the size of a lesech, and this person goes and buys double of what his mishalech sent him to do. So the question is, does that now mean that the whole entire shlichus is batal? He went against what his mishalech told him to do. Or do we say, no, he bought the size of property that his Mishalech sent him to buy. He just added another part. But the part that he did for the Mishalech, that acquisition takes effect for him. The additional part he's just adding. It wasn't Muvatal the Shlichus. That's the question here. So the Gemara brings from what it says in our Mishnah. Tashema, the Mishnah says as follows. If her ksubah is only one money. She went and she took a property from the Yisayimim more than what she's owed for a ksubah, a mana and a dinner, and she sells it b'mana. She sells it for a mana. Mechra bottle. Her sale is bottle. So now, when the Mishnah says that it was sold b'mana, what does the Mishnah mean by this? So right now, the Gemara understands as follows. My love, don't you think that the pshat of the Mishnah over here is as follows? That the Zavin Shavemana Vediner B'mana Vediner. The actual sale of this property that she sold it for its right value. It's worth a mana and a dinner. She sold it for the value of a mana and a dinner. So what does it mean when it says in the Mishnah B'mana, Umay B'mana, when it says that she sold it for a mana, not that she sold a property for a mana. What it means is mana shalah. She's going to collect from this for her mana that she's owed for the ksubah. That's what it means. But she actually sold the property for its right price. And then, afilu. So what's the Mishnah saying? Even if the lashon of the Mishnah was afilu. Afilu. Wait a second, is that the lashon of the Mishnah? Does the Mishnah say afilu? Afil, yes. The Mishnah continues and says, afilu hi oimeres achzer dinner yarshin. The Mishnah afterwards says, even if she's going to say, okay, so this extra dinner that is not owed to me, it's not the value of my ksubah, I'll return the money to you. I'll return the money to the Yarshin. What is she saying here? What's the chiddush? Even if she comes and says to them, I'll return that extra dinner that I sold from the karka itself. I'll go back to the buyer and I'll say to him, here, I'm giving you back a dinner, give me back that piece of the karka so that I could return it to the Yisayimim. What does the Mishnah say? That this sale that she sold more than she was supposed to, the mekach is bottle and she cannot collect her ksubah from here. So what do we see from here? Why is the mekach bottle? Because she sold more than she's supposed to. She's sort of being sent, she's being given this right to sell this karka to collect her ksubah from the Yisayimim. She went and sold more than she's supposed to. So what do you see from our Mishnah? If you sell more than what you're sent to sell, so even what you're supposed to sell, the amount that you do have the right to sell, does not take effect at all. That's what we see from our Mishnah here. Says the Gemara, oketani mechra bottle, and the Mishnah says in such a case, she sold extra, so the whole entire sale is bottle. Amar Ravuna Bered Rav Nosson. So Ravuna Bered Rav Nosson answers that the pshat in the Mishnah is not like we thought. When the Mishnah says bimana, what does bimana mean? The pshat is different than we thought before. Bid the oizel. She actually sold it less than its value. She took a property of the Yisayimim that has the value of a mana and a dinner, and she sold it only for a mana. So the reason why the whole sale is bottle is because she's not selling it for the right price. The Yisayimim say to her, we sent you on a shlichus to sell the property, to collect your ksubah, but for the right price. If you're selling it for the wrong price, for reduced its value, so then you're not going to get, the sale doesn't take effect at all. A shliach, the Gemara will bring in the end of the sugya, the rule that it says regarding shlichus. Whenever a shliach is fulfilling the shlichus for a mishaleach, the mishaleach says to him, what you do will only take effect if it's for my benefit. L'tkune shtardicha. But if you're going to do something which actually is reducing the price of the value of the property, it doesn't take effect. That's the pshat in the Mishnah. When it says in the Mishnah, bimane, she takes sold it less than its value. That's why the sale doesn't take effect. If that would be the pshat here, continuing in Daf Tzadik Tes, Habar Hamid Seife, in the next case of the Mishnah, B'doizel. There, it's talking about a case where she sells properties from the Yisayimim and she sold a property less than its value. Have it. That's what it's talking about there. So if so, reisha b'delo yazel. So the reisha that we just quoted must be speaking about a case where she did not reduce its value, because otherwise there's no point of the Mishnah saying the same exact halacha twice. Now, what does it say in the Seifa of the Mishnah? Tani Seifa, the next case in the Mishnah, it says, Hoisa ksubasa arba meisos. Her ksubah is 400 sus. Machra lezebamana. So she sold one piece of property for a mana. Then to someone else she sold another piece of property for another mana. Then a third piece of property she sold yofe mana vidina. She sells it. She takes a property that's the value of a mana and a dinner bimana. So she sells it for a mana. So the Mishnah says shal achrain. So the last property she sold mechra bottle. The sale is nullified because she sold it for less than its value. But for shal kulon, the other properties that she sold for the right value mechran kayim. Over there the sale does take effect. So over here, in this last part of the Mishnah, the Seifa, when it says that she sold a property of a mana vidina bimana, what does it mean here? Over here it means that she actually sold it and she reduced its value. And that's why the mecher is batal. So if that's the case of the Seifa, so in the Reisha, when it says that she sold a property of a mana and a dinner bimana, over there it can't mean the same thing. If it means the same thing, why is the Mishnah repeating the same halacha? Over there it means that she sold it for the right price and she's collecting the mana that she's actually owed for her ksubah. Taisus explains that in the Reisha of the Mishnah it's 100, exactly. In the Reisha of the Mishnah she's actually owed a ksubah of 100. So over there you could say bim mana means that she's collecting it for her ksubah, which is a mana. In the Seifa of the Mishnah, we're talking about a ksubah that was worth 400 zuz. So when it says in the Mishnah bim mana, it can't be referring to this, that she's collecting it for her ksubah, which is a mana. The ksubah is 400. When it says here bim mana, what does bim mana mean? That she sold it less than its value. That the value was a mana and a dinner, and she sold it for the value of a mana.
But she still has her 400 zuz. Whatever.
That she's owed. That she's owed the 400 zuz, correct.
She has got the first three for 100, and the last one for 100 also.
Correct, but she reduced the value in the sale. She sold it not for the right value, so the whole sale doesn't take effect. So she's going to have to sell it again for the right value. So the Gemara says, but not necessarily do we have to say that the Reisha is a different case. Rather, we could say both Reisha v'Seifa b'da'izal. Both cases are speaking about where she sold it less than its value. So why is it have to tell me both halachas? The Seifa kamash malon, in the Seifa of the Mishnah, the Chiddush over here is Taime da'izal b'diyasmi. That the only reason why the sale is nullified is because she took a piece of property that's not already in her range of what she's owed. She took an extra dinner that belongs to the Yisayimim, and she sold that less than its value. So therefore the sale is batal. Avo b'dida mechra kayam. But what she's selling from her own, what she's owed actually for the ksubah over here, even if she sells it less than its value, but nevertheless, mechra kayam, the mecher will still take effect. That's the chiddush of what the Seifa is teaching us. In other words, the diuk from the Seifa. You have to be medayik from the Seifa. Only the last mana, when she took an extra dinner of a property that doesn't even belong to her, belongs to the Yisayimim, there, if she sells it for the wrong value, the lower reduced its value, the sale is not gonna take effect. But what if she's selling a part of the properties of the Yisayimim for what she's owed for the ksubah? And over there she reduced the value. Doesn't matter. The sale will take effect. Because over here, what she's selling, she's not selling the property of the Yisayimim, she's selling for herself. What she's owed for the ksubah. When she makes a mistake regarding the value of the sale, regarding what the other parts of the ksubah, or the other parts of the properties that she's owed for the ksubah, so over there the sale will take effect. And here Rashi says the reason why the sale takes effect is because there's a klal ein eino b'karkois. When it comes to properties, the value of a property, even if you sell it less than its value, or you sell it more than its value, doesn't make a difference. The sale price by properties always changes, and therefore by karkois there's no halacha of eino, so therefore it takes effect. But if she's selling a mana and a dinner more than what she's owed for the ksubah, so then I say that extra that she was selling for the Yisayimim, she took a property of the Yisayimim and she sold it and she got the wrong value, she got a lower value for it over there, the sale will not take effect. That's what the Mishnah is teaching us over here in the Seifa. But this halacha I could learn from the very first part of the Mishnah. What did it say all the way in the beginning of the Mishnah? She's owed a ksubah 200. She sells a property that's only worth a mana for double its price. Or she sells a property that's worth 200 for half its price. She sells it only for 1 money. Either way, whatever she got for her ksuba in this price that she sold is sold. She got her ksuba. So what do we see over here? When she's selling the property that's for the value of her ksuba, so even if she sold it less than its price, the sale takes effect. And that's it. She got her ksuba with this. So we see already from the beginning of the Mishnah that what she's selling for her ksuba, even if she doesn't sell it for the property value, the sale takes effect. So why does the Mishnah here in the Diyuka from the Sefer, why do we have to learn from there that what she's selling for her ksuba, it takes effect? Says the Gemara, there's a difference. In the Reisha of the Mishnah, I would say, Hasam hu de stalkala mahai beisa legamri. Once she sold a property that's worth 200, that's the amount of her ksuba. So when she's done with that, that's it. She's removed from here, meaning she has nothing else to collect. She sold the full amount that she's owed for the ksuba. So over here I say, regardless of whatever value she sold it for, that's it. It's done. She got her full collection of the ksuba. There's nothing else to be geyser for here. Aval hacha. But over here in the Sefer of the Mishnah, what is it speaking about? She's selling a few properties. She's not selling it all at once. She's selling pieces, exactly. So nigzer mana rishain atu mana achren. Over here, maybe there would be a reason to make a gzeira that when she sells the first property for the mana, so I would say that over there, if she reduced the property, the price of the property in the first property, even though that's l'chayra part of what she's selling for her ksuba. And over here, she should have, even if she reduces the price, it shouldn't be a problem because this is what she has a right to sell for herself. But maybe I should make a gzeira. Otu mana achrein. Just like by the last mana, where she sells extra, which is not hers. She took from the Yisayim something extra and over there because she reduced the value. So therefore, the sale does not take effect. So if she's selling the properties of pieces at a time, maybe I should be geyser. And I should say that no matter which of these properties she reduces the values, the sale should not take effect. In order not to come to confuse what she's owed in the beginning and what she sells at the end, which is what she's not owed. So therefore, that's where the Mishnah Kamash Malan, it's telling me over here, this halacha, that as long as what she's selling, what belongs to her, what she has the right to collect for a ksuba, even if she reduces the price, the sale takes effect. But if she's selling and she's taking extra in the last month, she's taking extra from the Yisayimim, over there, if she reduced the price, the sale does not take effect. Now there's another version to this whole discussion over here, that the question, again, Gemara before had a question regarding a shliach that's being sent to sell a property, and he sold double of what he was told to sell. Does that mean that he not do his shlichus, or does that mean that he just added to his shlichus? But now the Gemara brings another version of this whole discussion. So there's others that said, Hola tibayalach. That's not a question. Heiche the amale, if a person says to a shliach, Zil zavenli lische, go sell me a lesech, and the zavenli kura, and he goes and sells double. He sells a full kur. The vadai moisef al dvaravav. In such a case, we definitely consider what the shliach did to just adding to what the mishalech told him. He's not. He's just adding. So that everybody would agree. There's no shaila about that. What's the shaila that we're discussing here is as follows: the amalei a shliach, a mishalech that is, tells the shliach zil zaven li kura. Go sell me a kur. And v'azal v'zaven le lische. And he went and sold half. He only sold the lesser half of what he was told to sell. So over here is the question, what's the halacha? If you sell half of what the Mishalech tells you, did he fulfill the shlichus? Half of it, but half I fulfilled? Or do I say, no, if you only sold half, you didn't do the shlichus? So the Gemara explains the two svaras. Mi amrina, do I say, malay, the shlich can say to the Mishalech, I actually did you a favor by only selling half. The tavelach avdi, what I did for you is actually to your benefit. Avdilach, I did for you. Why? If it turns out that you don't need so much money from this sale here, so if I would have sold you the whole property that you asked me to sell, you could not retract from that sale. So now you have an option to retract because I only sold half. So if you're going to need me to sell the whole thing, I can sell more. But meanwhile, I only sold half. I didn't cause you any loss. If anything, you now have the property available if you don't need to sell it. Or perhaps the Mishalech can say to him, he says to him, I don't want that there should be more than one document of people that have documents that I sold them properties. I sold one half of the property to Reuven, another half of the property to Shimon. I don't want there to be more than one document of a sale that I sold it to few people. The Gemara doesn't spell out why he doesn't want this, but the Rishonim say that if you have different properties that he sells, and then people could show, more than one person can show, oh, this guy sold me this property. That shows that he's desperate in selling his properties because he needs money. So that shows he's poor. So what's going to happen is, if he wants to sell any other property, it's going to lose its value because people are going to see that he's desperate. So he doesn't want that more than one person should have a star that he sold him a property. Amos says, we'll see soon from the Gemara, Rashi says that this is not the main reason over here for why the Mishalech is tell the Shliach that the Shlichus does not take effect. The main point really is, if I told you to sell the whole property and you only sold half, so half is, you didn't even fulfill what I told you to do. In the previous case, he fulfilled exactly what the Mishalech told him to do, but he just added another half. Over here, he didn't add. You didn't do what I told you to do. That's really the main point of here. Rab Chanina from Surah says, here, there's another Mishnah there, in Masechta Me'ila as well, that we can bring a rai for this. Earlier, the Gemara also brought a rai from Me'ila. So here the Gemara says as follows. Toshama. So what does it say there in the Mishnah of Me'ila? Nasan le dinner shel zav, a person gives a golden dinner to a shliach. It turns out that this dinner shel zav is really a dinner that belongs to Hektish. So therefore he's being ma'il. He's using Hektish. V'amalai, and he tells the shliach, Havili chaluk, go buy me a shirt with this money. V'halach, and he went, and v'hevi loi, and he brought him a shirt, now in a dinner. How many sloim are there in a dinner? A golden dinner, Rashi says, has 6 sloim in it. Okay, so he went and he bought a shirt for half of the price, b'shalish, with only 3 sloim. Chaluk, that's a shirt. And then b'shalosh, another 3 of the slayim, he bought a talis. He added another cloak, another garment he bought. So he bought more than what the Mishalech told him, but he bought the chaluk with 3 of it, and then another 3 he bought something else, a talis. So the halach is shnei malu. They're both ma'il. He's ma'il for doing what the Mishalech told him, because he bought him that shirt, and then he added also to buy a talis, and for that the shliach himself is ma'il. Now the question is, if you're going to say shliach gehai gavne, that a shliach in such a kind of scenario that we're discussing here, which is when the shliach buys less than what the Mishalech told him. So he's fulfilling the shlichus even if he got less. And we only consider what he's doing to be that he's adding over here. He just added. Even though he bought less than what he told him to buy. He only bought a chaluk with 3 of the slayim that he gave him. And he just added. He also bought a talis. So therefore we consider this to be maisif. So therefore I could say balabais is small. That the balabais is mile when he bought him that chaluk for the 3 slayim that he gave him. But if you're going to say that as soon as he bought less than what he told him to buy, so he's really being over on what he said and told him to do, so my mal. Why is the Mishalech mile? The Mishalech told him to buy a chaluk in the value of a full dinner, which is 6 slayim. And he bought him a chaluk. Seemingly what happened over here is he bought him a chaluk, a smaller size, a different chaluk, a lower quality, so therefore it was only worth 3 slayim. So he bought him something that's less. So if you buy less, you didn't fulfill the shlichus of the Mishalech, if we're going to say that that's the halacha. So why should the Mishalech be mile? If the shliach didn't do what he wanted him to do? Answers the Gemara, that's not the pshat on that Mishnah. Hacha b'maya skinon. What does it mean when it says here that he bought him a chaluk only for 3, for half of the price? The aisile shavesheish b'shalosh. He actually got him a cheap price. He got him half a price. He got him the exact same chaluk that he wanted him to buy, the value of a full dinner, 6 slayim, and he got it to him for half price, for 3 slayim. So that's why the Mishalech is mile. He did exactly what the Mishalech wanted. Ihachi, says the Gemara, if so, shliach hamay mal. Why is a shliach mile? So Taisus explains, the Gemara's question is, the fact that the shliach then went ahead and bought another talis for himself, which the Mishalech never told him to buy, but why should the shliach be mile? Wouldn't the Mishalech be happy with this? If I send you with 6 slayim to buy a shirt, and you find for me that shirt that I want for half of the price, and you buy me additionally another cloak, won't the Mishalech himself be happy with this? So why would the shliach be mile? So the Gemara says, no, at talis. The shliach is mile on the talis because the fact is he never told him befedish to buy this talis, even though he had extra change because he got a cheap price. But for that extra talis that you bought, the shliach is going to be mile. That's the pshat on what that Mishnah says. So we have no raya to what we're talking about. That Mishnah is not a case where you bought less than what the Mishalech told you. You bought exactly what the Mishalech told you, but you just got a cheaper price. Says the Gemara, but if that's the pshat there, aim a seifa. What does it say later there in the Mishnah? Rabbi Yehuda argues with this. Rabbi Yehuda says, Af bezeh balabayis loimal. Even in such a kind of a case, the balabas that sent him will not be moyal. Why not? He got exactly what you wanted. Right, that's what we said here. And you just added something else. But Rabbi Yehuda says the balabayis is not moyal. Why? So the lashon over there in the Mishnah is because the balabas that sent the shliach could say, Chaluk gadol hayisi mevakish. I asked you to buy me a big shirt. Chaluk cotton dvera. And instead you brought me a shirt which is small and a lower quality. So we see there, Frektus Gemara's shaila is, we see that clearly in the Mishnah, the pshat on what happened over here is not that he got him the same shirt for a cheaper price, for half price. He got him a lower quality shirt. And that's what Rabbi Yehuda is saying. The balabas that sent him is not going to be moyal. You didn't get what he wanted you to get. So how can we say the pshat is in the ratio of the Mishnah that he got him the same quality shirt that he sent him to get? So the Gemara here as well changes and says, you have to know how to read what Rabbi Yehuda is saying. Mayra, what does it mean when Rabbi Yehuda says that you got him a less than what he asked for? Ra doesn't mean a bad quality, that he got him a low quality shirt. Rather means Ra bedomim. You got me a shirt that you spent less money on it. I gave you 6 slime, so you found a shirt for a cheap price. And the same shirt that I wanted, that I thought was 6 slime, you found it for a half price for 3 slime. But still, the balabas could have a tiny to him, even though you found the same shirt I wanted for a cheaper price, you shouldn't have bought it for that cheaper price. Why? Because the balabas could say to him, he isisly b'shis, if you would have spent all the money I gave you and got me your shirt for 6 slime, so then kol shekain da'avishove tar tesari. So you would have gotten an even better bargain. You would have gotten a bargain, you would have gotten a shirt that's worth 12 slayim. And Rashi actually says, when it says in the Gemara here 12 slayim, it means 12 slayim gedolim. You would have gotten more of a bargain, right? That's always that Rashi says, the derech of sellers. If the more you buy, the more of a bargain you get. So he's saying to him, you found a bargain for the kind of shirt that I told you to buy, but you should have used all the money I gave you, because then you would have gotten an even better bargain. So the fact that you got this lower quality shirt and then you added a talis, the balabas could say, this is not what I wanted. So therefore he's not moyal. That's the pshat in Rav Yehuda's opinion. So again, we're sticking to the pshat we're saying before. He didn't get anything less than what the balabas actually gave him to buy. Now the Gemara proves this. They can now prove this to you from what it says in the next part of that Mishnah there. The Tani over there, it says, May de Rabbi Yehuda, or this is actually in a Braisa. So it says in a Braisa that Rabbi Yehuda agrees bekitnis, in a case where a balabas sends somebody with money to go and buy him kitnis. So you send him to buy you a certain amount of kitnis, beans, and he buys you those beans for half price. And then he added more from something else. Besides the kitnis, he bought something else, similar to what we're learning till now. So over there by the kitnis, Rabbi Yehuda will agree sheshnei amalu, that the balabas will be moyal, and the shliach as well for what he added, but the balabas will be moyal. Even though before Rabbi Yehuda said the balabas will not be moyal, because the balabas could say, you should have got me more for a better price. But nevertheless, over here by the kitnis, he's going to agree. Why is he going to agree? Sheshnei amalu. Reason is shakitnis besela v'kitnis bepruta, because the kidneys that you buy for a seller, the kidneys that you buy for a pruta, it's not going to change. The amount that you buy, you don't get a bigger bargain in the amount that you buy. Right? Before the Gemara said that the nature of things is when you buy from a seller, he's going to give you a bigger bargain if you buy a bigger amount. But over here, whether you get a seller, whether you get a pruta, you're going to pay the same price proportionate to what you're buying. It doesn't matter. The fact that you buy a bigger amount doesn't give you a cheaper price. So therefore, in this case, what's Rabbi Yehuda saying? The balabas could have no tinus. He bought exactly the amount that he asked him to buy. He found a cheaper price. The balabas can't say, if you found a cheaper price, you should have bought even more because you would have gotten a better bargain. Because you wouldn't have got a better bargain. The price doesn't change if you buy more. So Shmami no, from here we clearly see that the pshat is like we said, that the point is that when it says cotton vera means regarding the domim, regarding the price. That he's saying that if you found a cheaper price, you should have gotten me more because then you would have gotten a better bargain. If the pshat would have been, like we said before, that he actually got him less than what he asked for, And that's why Rabbi Yehuda is saying that the balabas is not moil, because he got something different. He got cotton veral, less than what he asked for. So then there would be no reason for Rabbi Yehuda to be made in the case of kitnius. By kitnius, if he gets him less beans that he asked for, it should be the same thing. The balabas should not be moil. The only way to explain why Rabbi Yehuda is maida here is because the point is that regarding the pricing of when you buy clothing or when you buy beans, it's different. By the pricing of clothing, you get a bargain if you buy more. And by the pricing of beans, if you buy more, you don't get a bargain. It just goes by the measure of what you buy. Shema Mino. Okay, so this proves the pshat that we said here. Now the Gemara explains this. This is really a continuation. Hey Chidami. What's taka the story over here with the beans? How are beans sold? If you're going to say that these beans are not sold by a set amount that you put into a vessel, but it's just sold by a certain estimation. So if so, so shouldn't we apply to beans the same thing like we said before regarding clothing, that the more beans you buy, then the cheaper price will give it to you? That's if it's not being sold by a set amount, like you buy a certain little vessel of beans, but it's just sold by estimation. So l'chayre here as well should be the same like clothing. So Rav Papa explains ba'asre the kaili bekani. This is a place where they put it into a small vessel and it's sold like in little jars, and therefore you buy it by the jar, and the fact that you're adding more, you're going to buy 10 jars, it doesn't make a difference. You pay whatever set price there is for every single jar, so you're not going to get any bigger bargain for this. The Amalek kana bepruta. So the shliach says to the Mishaleach that I found a cheaper price for these jars, but whatever I bought, it wouldn't have been cheaper if I would have gotten any more. So therefore, I bought extra something else. What I bought for you, I did exactly what you wanted. You have no tightness. You wouldn't have got a better price if I would have bought more. And therefore, the part that he bought for the Mishaleach, the balabas, is moil. So here we see this point that beans are different. It's sold in a different way. Tashama, the Gemara now brings back our Mishnah. Again, we have the Shaila. If a Shliach sells less than what the Mishaleach told him, do I say he fulfilled the Shlichus? Or do I say because you sold less, you did not fulfill the shlichus? So in our Mishnah it said, going back to the case, it was quoted before already, Hoisa ksubasa arba mezuz. Her ksuba was 400 zuz. So what happened? What right does she have? When the Yisayimim are giving her these properties to go, sell these properties for the ksuba. So she should be selling 400 for her ksuba. For a property the size of 400 zuz for her ksuba. What did she do though? She went and she machra lezeb mana. She sells a part of the property for one person with a mana. Then a lezeb mana, a part of the property to someone else with a mana. And then a la'achra and yafa mana v'dinner. And then to another person she sells, and she also sold a little extra. She sold a mana and a dinner bimana. So shal achrain bottle. So as we learned before, the last one, because she sold extra or she reduced the value, as we learned before, so therefore the sale doesn't take effect. But shal kulon mechran kayim. The other parts of property that she sold, even though she didn't sell it all at once, the sale takes effect. So what's the Gemara proving from here? She's really being sent to sell a property that's the size, that's the value of 400 zuz. That's sort of her shlichus. Instead, what did she do? She sells less. She sells only the value of 100. Then she sells the value of another 100. She's selling only a percent, only a half or a percent of what she's told to be selling. And nevertheless, we say that the sale takes effect. So we see over here that a shliach that's supposed to sell the full amount and sells only a percent of what he was told to sell, what is sold takes effect. Only what's extra or what you reduce the value, that doesn't take effect. So the Gemara answers, over here the case is, Kedam Rav Sheshe Bereder Ravidi. Rav Sheshe Bereder Ravidi said regarding this Mishnah, as we'll see soon in the Gemara, Beketini. She had these properties that were small properties. She didn't have one large property and then she sold only a half of it and then another half. They were these little small fields. So therefore that's what she had to sell. So she sold it as is, to one person and to another person. Sachanami Beketini. Over here, that's how we teach this Mishnah, and therefore there's no raya from our Mishnah. Okay, so this is the Gemara over here, as we see, never answers the Sibaya. But now the Gemara continues and says another halacha regarding the shliach that was sent to do a shlichus. Pshite, this would be obvious. Omar le'echad. The Mishaleach tells the shliach, I want you to sell this property to one person. And he spells out clearly, V'loi l'shnayim. Do not sell it to two people. So he told him clearly, sell it to one and not to the other. Rashi over here says that the Gemara is asking this question, if we're going to say in the previous Sibaya that if a person was told to sell a kor, a bigger property, and he only sold half, that the mecha would be kayam. So over here, the Gemara is saying, but if he spelled out clearly that do not sell half to one person and half to another person, so because he spelled that out clearly, so therefore the mecher will not take effect. Amalei, but not the question will be, how about if he just said le'echad stame? He tells the shliach, sell this property to one person, but he didn't spell out clearly not to two. So now the question is, is he makpid, is he particular that he shouldn't sell it to two people or not? Ravuna says, le'echad v'lo l'shnayim. If he said the word le'echad, even though he didn't spell out clearly not two, but that's what he means, only to one and not to two. But Rav Chisda and Rabbi Bar Avuna both disagree, and they say le'echad va'afil l'shnayim. If he said le'echad, but he didn't spell out not to two, he could sell it even to two. Le'echad va'afil l'meya. When he says sell it to one, that could be even to sell it to 100 people. As Rashi says, when a person says echad, that's just the way people speak. He didn't mean dafkes to one and not to two or to 100. So therefore, you can sell it to as many people. Ikla Rav Nachman l'Sura. Rav Nachman came to the city Sura where they were living. Ula Gabei Rav Chisda and Rabbi Bar Avuna. So Rav Chisda and Rabbi Bar Avuna came and asked him this question. Amrulei. So they said to him, Ki hai gavna mai. What would be the halach in such a case? The Mishalech says, sell it to one person. Does that mean not to two and not to 100? Amalahu. So Rav Nachman actually answered them like they said. Le'echad v'afil l'shnayim. Even though the Mishalech said to one, that includes even if you sell it to two, v'afil l'meya, even if you sell it to 100 people, doesn't matter. The word echad is lav dafke. Amrulei, so they said to him, if he's saying that the words of the Mishalech are lav dafke, which means, as Taisus explains, they understood that what he was trying to say is, we rely on the shliach. The Mishalech is relying on the shliach to sell it as he sees fit. So if so, do we even go a step further and say, afal gav de to shliach? Does that include even a case where the shliach sold it and reduced its value? So we're also going to say the Mishalech relied on the shliach, and whatever price he got for it, he accepts. Amalahu, so Rav Nachman says, no, we don't go so far. The ta shliach loika mina. If the shliach made a mistake and he sold it for less than its value, I never said such a thing. Amrulei, so Rav Chisda and Rav Bar Avuna asked Rav Nachman, why not? But the master, Rav Nachman, had said, Ein oino lekarkois. As I mentioned earlier, the halacha regarding property, a piece of land, is that there's no halacha of eino. Usually if you sell something and you only get the reduced value for it, so there's a halacha of eino. It could be a mekach tos. It depends if it's more than a sixth that the mistake of the sale was, so then it's a halacha of eino. But by properties, there's no halacha of eino. That's what you said. So if so, why shouldn't we say the same thing regarding the shliach? That if you sold it less than the value, so you could say that once the sale took effect, we don't go back on the sale. So he answered them, that's a person himself that's selling his property. When you sell your property and you get the lesser price for it, so then once it took effect, that's the price. That's it. You can't go back on it. But aval to shliach. But if he's sending a shliach to sell you something, he has to make sure to get you the right market value for what he's selling. Because Amalei, and this is the foundation of the whole sugya that we're learning here regarding shlichus, because the Mishalech says to the shliach, Litkuni shedarticha, I sent you, that is, to go and do something for my benefit, v'loi lavsi, but not to do something which is not to my benefit, the opposite, which something you cause me a damage, that you sell me something for a reduced price, even though there's no enough for karkais, but this is a halacha regarding shlichus, that you have to make sure to fulfill your shlichus properly, that is, and get the right price. Where do I see this halacha, the shani ben shliach lebalabais, that we make a difference between the shliach and the balabas? So we learned this in a Mishnah regarding truma. A person says to his shliach, say utraim, go and take truma for me. And he didn't specify to him how much truma you give. Now, minat Torah, there is no amount for truma. Truma you can give even a drop. But with the Rabbanon, there is a certain amount that a person has to give for truma. And generally speaking, there are the three amounts of truma. The average amount of truma is a 50th. The person that's generous gives a 40th. And a person that's stingy gives a 60th. That's the amounts of truma. And this person does not know what the Mishaleach, the owner, wants. How much truma should he give? So Tairim kedas balabais. He's going to have to be Tairim, estimating the kind of person that the balabas is, and that's how he gives the truma. What if he does not know the balabas? He does not know what his nature is. He does not know how much truma he would give. So then Tairim bebeininis. So he gives the average, which is echad mechamishim, 1 of 50. Piches asara or haisif asara. If the shliach gave less, he gave only a 60th, or he gave more, he gave a 40th. Truma se truma. The truma takes effect. But so this is the halacha by a shliach. He should give a 50th if he doesn't know. If he gave more or less, all within the range of what Chachamim said is considered to be a generous or stingy person, then it takes effect. But for the Balabas himself, Tanya, it says in the Braise, Toram v'ola biyodai afila echad mesrim. If the Balabas is separating the produce for Trumah, and in his hands he discovers that he has a 20th, much more than he intended or is obligated to give, Trumah se Trumah. Nevertheless, once you took that, the Trumah takes effect. So what do I see? Regarding the Balabas himself, I say, even though that's not the amount you have to give, but once you gave that, the Trumah takes effect. But regarding the Shliach, because the Shliach is there for the benefit of the Balabas, if you gave extra Trumah, the Trumah will not take effect. So only if you gave within the range of what Chachamim instituted to give, then Trumah will take effect. Toshama, the Gemara tries to bring a raya to the question we have. Again, what's the question we have? If the Mishaleach tells you, sell to Echad. He didn't say clearly not to Shnaim. He just said, sold to Echad, sell to Echad. And now the question is, does that mean that he's particular and he doesn't want you to sell to 2, 3, or 4 people? So Toshama, let's go back again to the case of our Mishnah. Kesubos is worth 400 zuz. Right, so over here, the Yisaimim, they're giving him this karka. They're saying, here, go, sell karka. That's like a stam case. A stam case where the Yisaimim say to the Isha, sell this karka to one person for Yiksubah. And what did she do? Machra lezebamana, she sold to one person for a mana, to a second person for a mana, la'achrin shavamana v'dinner, b'mana, and then she sells to the third person, and then over there she reduced the price, and she sold for a mana. Shel achrin bottle, only the last sale is bottle, v'shel kulan mechran kayim. But the others that she sold, the mecher takes effect. So the Gemara is bringing a raya from here, because over here we see that even though she's selling to extra people, and therefore the Gemara already mentioned before, this is the svara that applies over here as well, that it's something that's not for the benefit of the Yisayimim, that so many people should have a shtar, that their property is being sold to them. And nevertheless I say that they're not particular about this. Since they didn't specify clearly not to 2, so they're not particular about this, and therefore the sale will take effect even if she's selling to a few people. So over here, this is the source where Rav Sheshe Bereid Ravidi said, what we already quoted before, Bikatini. The properties over here are small properties. She's not selling to separate people because she decides to divide the sale. The properties are small properties, and therefore she's selling to a number of different people. So there's no raya from our Mishnah to a case where you have one large property and a person decides to go ahead and split it and sell it to various different people. In such a case, maybe the sale would not take effect. So the Gemara does not resolve this ibaya as well. Okay.